Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, January 30th. My name is Jane Johnston. I'm with the Bar Hill Group at Remax Mosin, and I'm here with...
Hi, oh, we switched around. Hi, it's Andrew Cronk with Royal LePage. And yeah, how did we get to January 30th of 2023 so quickly?
Well, some of us were on vacation.
Some of us were away for part of the month, I guess, yeah.
And did you have fun?
I did. Did you miss me?
I did.
You liar.
You're like my brother from another mother.
I know. You're my sister from another mister.
Okay, let's start the show, and then we're gonna have Rachel Cronk from Provincial Moving and Storage. She recently purchased this business from her the owner who actually I used 2 or 3 times, probably about a decade ago. So let's chat.
Yes, okay, excellent. But let's talk stocks first and figure out what's been going on in the marketplace.
All right. So here we are, January 30th. We have 249 net unconditional sales to date. Whoa.
So that's pretty much a full month because, we only have one more day to go. A lot less than 2022, which was 474. So quite a low number for sales. But we've had similar amount of listings. I mean, generally speaking, 751 versus 692. Our active listings are up by 1,000, 1,740 versus 744. But it's still low inventory, really.
Yep. Well, I'm just looking comparatively, like if we look 155 net unconditional sales last week, and then we're up 100, essentially.
Yeah.
And then new listings were up to 175. So
yeah, it's definitely accelerating. You can see, if we had 100 a week, we'd be at a 400 number. We had 100 last week. We're probably going to be, higher numbers for February.
I'm just thinking when I got into real estate in 2006, there were 100 new listings a day at one point.
100 a day. Yeah, it was crazy watching the hot sheets at that time. I don't remember it being 100 a day. I wasn't necessarily counting, but we were definitely in the thick of it.
Yeah. Okay. So compared to last week, this is week-to-week comparison. So 43 new listings this past week compared to 176 the week before. Woo!
Interesting. That's slow. And yet, on the realtor Facebook groups and the social media groups, where the private ones, where I've been seeing a lot of realtors posting coming soons. A lot of people saying coming soon, new house, coming soon, new condo. I expect we're going to see quite a few coming up in Feb.
Yes, I agree. I have a few coming up. I have a really juicy one coming up. So you'll see a preview today.
Okay. Yeah, it is interesting, though. 84 properties went pending in a week for the week of January 23rd and before that. And between the 23rd and 30th, we only had 28 go pending. It's odd to me, these numbers. I'm wondering maybe we should double check this. But 7 price decreases over 39 price decreases. 2 properties, 40 properties sold versus 81. Yeah, seems low.
The numbers are right. I just double checked them.
Okay, good.
So, and I think what we're seeing is really the calm before the storm, because a lot of people, I know a lot of agents were away in January. Also, maybe it could be just like people taking a bit of a breather and then starting up February 1st. I don't know.
There's also, we kind of entrain our clients too. They're kind of expecting to see more properties coming soon. We've told them to expect more in the spring. And so there might be a bit of a holding your breath kind of thing as well from buyers while they're waiting to see more inventory.
Also, I was thinking people were probably waiting to see what the latest rate update was, which was up 0.25 basis points. So, so that says to me, and also with the announcement that things are going to be steady over the next year in terms of interest rates, hopefully. Who knows? but that I think will give people some confidence going forward, because buyers are always wondering if the market's going to go down, and sellers are always hoping the market's going to go up, and they're betting against themselves, right?
Yeah, of course. Nobody wants to pay more than they have to.
Okay, so let's bring Rachel on here.
Let's talk moving.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. I hear a little bit of a reverberation, so maybe let's, if you could lower your volume a bit.
Okay.
Okay, so how long has Provincial Moving and Storage been around, Rachel?
13 years, yeah, July of 2009.
Nice.
Okay.
I guess this July would be the 14th year, actually, yeah.
Is that the former owner on the left in this picture?
That is, yeah. So myself and my husband's name is Jonathan on the right, and then the former owner is Steve and Emelita.
Nice.
Okay. And so what type of moving do you do?
Yeah, so we help clients with residential moves, commercial moves, government moves, and also help with some storage services.
What does that mean, storage services?
What is that?
Yeah, good point. So oftentimes when residential clients are moving from one home to another, they may have a little bit of awkward dates. So perhaps they sell a home on the 1st, and they don't get possession of their new home until the 7th or the 8th, and they need a week of storage services. So what we do is we look at their location of their new home, and we find a storage facility close to where they're about to move in, just to keep the cost of driving time and diesel down. And then we store it for them for a week, and the next week we pack it all up again and bring it to their new place.
Excellent.
So you source out the storage for them?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Do you have your own storage, or you are using other storage systems?
We don't have our own storage facility. It's something that we're looking to do down the road. So at this point, we use other third-party storage companies. So we use places that, clean their places regularly, have exterminators go through their places regularly, have a really good facility.
Right. That's actually something you don't necessarily think about when you're thinking storage, but it's good that you're thinking about it for others. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, mine makes sure it's heated, to make sure that, furniture is being stored at the proper temperatures. Of course, really hot, really cold, those dramatic changes can really affect, wood furniture and things. Right. So we're always making sure we're using heated places. We know which places get exterminators coming through weekly to make sure that there's no problems with rodents and rats and things like that. So we use really good quality facilities.
Okay. All
Is this a new service that you guys offer, or has Provincial always offered that?
We've always offered that. Yeah.
Okay.
And you've owned Provincial for about 3 months, you said?
That's right. Yeah, we just recently bought it.
You must have lots of big plans and it's an exciting time for this.
Absolutely. No, it's my husband and I are thrilled about the purchase, and it's going really well. We're really enjoying the industry so far. It's been good.
Good.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering about pianos and stuff like that. So what kind of move does a piano need as opposed to other types of furniture?
Do you mean in terms of like logistics and equipment and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we certainly do piano moves. So we can do uprights and baby grand pianos, but unfortunately we can't do grand pianos. They're a bit beyond our scope and our equipment that we have, but we can certainly do a lot of uprights and baby grands. So uprights typically take 3 movers. Baby grands certainly take 4 movers. They're just larger and a lot more involved. You got to take off the legs and take off the top plate and things like that. And then we have just specialized equipment, a piano skid and piano straps, to make sure we're strapping it into the skid properly and maneuvering it around. And for us, what's really important is whenever we're doing a piano move every move is finding out what access is like, but making sure we don't have too tight of staircases, too tight of door frames. We want to know how many exterior and interior stairs there are in the home, because of course, if there's quite a few, then perhaps we need another mover to help with it, to make sure that the piano gets moved safely, and also the safety of our guys and making sure we're protecting their backs.
That's a really key point, because I found that, over the moves I've done and where clients have done moves, when there's been times when movers show up and they haven't actually been out to check the access, or there hasn't been a proper estimate done.
Yes.
There's a lot of swearing involved.
There can be, yeah.
Sometimes they just say, I can't do this, and you're sort of stuck without a mover. Or, it's been interesting, some of the events that I've seen happen over the years with moving.
Yeah. Yeah, but we certainly also help with smaller moves. I've got a few things listed here: pianos, safes, fireproof filing cabinets. Those things can be really quite heavy and awkward. Murphy beds. So not only do we do our typical residential moves on the 1st and 15th, and of course everything in the middle, but we also help clients with some smaller moves.
Okay. So we talked, Rachel and I met beforehand. We talked about the importance of getting the estimate. And also I'm curious about the human power that you use to measure when you're going in, you're estimating how much, I want to say manpower. I'm saying human power you need to bring in for the move. So how do you go about that?
Yeah, so I guess in terms of packing, we have formulas that we use in terms of, I'll go around the place and I'll say, okay, how many 2 cubes and 4 cubes boxes do I think the house needs to pack it up? Because of course we help clients with packing as well. And then typically a mover can pack 5 boxes per hour. So that's kind of the formula that we use to figure out how many hours it's going to take. And most jobs, we send 3 guys out in terms of efficiency for the client, but also the safety of our guys, that if we're moving a hide-a-bed that of course is quite heavy and awkward, we want to make sure that we've got proper staff there to protect their backs. And then in terms of estimating for 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms, we kind of have ranges of how many hours that's going to take. So as an example, a 3-bedroom is typically 6 to 8 hours. But again, if there's 17 stairs going up to the front door and the driveway is 100 meters long and we can't get up it, then of course those things change. But we have all kinds of formulas and estimates and things like that for different homes.
I'm sure you've probably seen it all.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, this is a picture here that I wanted to share. I received a phone call, I want to say a week and a half ago, and this lady by 10 Mill Point wanted to move. And she was a little bit reluctant to have an estimate. And I have to admit, I had to push her a little bit and said, you know what, it's really important that we come out and see the access of your home. And I'm so thankful that I did give her a little bit of a more of a nudge, because when I got to her home, this is her driveway. And as you can see, there's a very sharp turn there that our 35 or 37-foot trucks would not have been able to make. So if I hadn't come and done that estimate, I would have never known that this turn existed, because we actually had to go and hire, rent a U-Haul that was substantially smaller, because even my SUV that is 15 feet, it was a little tricky to get around that corner. So I always tell people, if you're hiring a moving company, it's so important to get an estimate, because these kind of hiccups and blips can really affect your move. If I hadn't come out to this estimate, we would have had to park on the street, and then every single box and coffee table and couch would have had to go down this very long, windy driveway, and of course added a lot of time to the overall bill. So I'm so thankful that I did go out and do an estimate, and we got a 17-foot U-Haul truck that made that corner.
The thing is, I guess, if you do an estimate and if there's a company doing estimates just over the phone, and then they arrive and they find something that creates this very big discrepancy between what they estimated and what reality is, they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to hold to their estimate, because it's just not realistic.
Exactly.
And I would assume it's not in your best interest to just think, I've hired this company, this is what they quoted me, and I've got all this tricky stuff that I didn't tell them about. It's not going to be in anybody's best interest to do that.
It's not. And just like you say, in terms of time and cost is one thing, but also logistics and scheduling. Yeah. Somebody has to be out of their rental by 1 p.m. because their landlord's coming by to do an inspection, and all of a sudden we've got a tricky driveway and we're not finished. That's going to cause a lot of friction between the tenant and the landlord. And same thing for purchasing a property in terms of possession times and dates.
Exactly.
I have a question regarding, so we're talking about booking an elevator in a building. Does the seller do that, or do you do that? Because you really want to make sure it's done.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, the client takes care of the elevator booking. We wouldn't know, who the property manager is and things like that. So they take care of the elevator booking, as well as the parking spot out front. So typically there's the strata takes care of some kind of commercial parking spot or visitor parking spots. We don't get involved with that either, but it's critical that we do have that parking spot moved because, of course, our trucks are 35 to 37 feet long and don't exactly, go in any kind of spot. And we just want to make sure that we're as close to the front door as possible.
Absolutely. And do you guys plan more than one move a day per truck or?
Not per truck, no. Different crews have different moves, but there's always a preference to residential moves because we know that possession dates and times are of the essence, and we just can't afford to have a residential move in the morning, it potentially have some delays and hiccups and go into the afternoon and then have another job. We don't do that. We just have one residential move per day.
Okay.
That's wise.
So what should clients consider when hiring a moving company?
Yeah, a few different things. It's always important kind of on the liability side to make sure that the moving company does have general liability insurance. So for residential moves, moving companies are supposed to have $2 million of coverage. For commercial moves, and that's one thing that we didn't talk about, is that we do a lot of work with restoration companies. You need to have $5 million of general liability. And then next is motor truck cargo insurance. So what that means is that when we move the contents from one home to another or one home into a storage facility, the transporting of those contents, you need to make sure that you have insurance in place in case something were to happen. Of course, it's very rare that, a truck would catch on fire or something like that, but these things do happen. And you want to make sure that the moving company does have proper insurance when they're transporting your goods.
And your WorkSafe BC.
That's right. You want to make sure they have got the proper WorkSafe BC coverage in place and doing things by the book. You also want to make sure that they're using, new good boxes. If they're going to be packing your stuff, you don't want, dirt and debris and things on there and then putting all your towels and linens in it. But also the specialty boxes. So the artwork, the mirror boxes, the TV boxes, the wardrobe boxes, you want to make sure that they're new and clean, so that, your Emily cars and your TVs and your hanged up clothes, that everything is staying clean.
You mentioned that you do some of your own, you do the packing, but of course I assume that a lot of clients also pack their own stuff. Do you have any advice for people around packing itself, or, and also I guess that you make it pretty clear right in the estimate whether you're going to be doing the packing or not.
That's right. I would say about 80 to 90% of clients want to do their own packing. It is, a cost, and they say, that's something that I can do. I think I've got the skill set to do that. And to answer your question about a few tips, I would say that when you're packing up, china and plates, oftentimes people think, oh, I'll pile them one on top of each other and put some kind of bubble wrap or, some paper in the middle. But we definitely don't want to be compounding weight on top of each other. We always want to be lining them up vertically with lots of bubble wrap and paper and things. And of course, making sure the bottom has bubble wrap and paper as well. So that's one thing that we find that clients oftentimes don't do, is they stack instead of going vertically with those more fragile items.
I guess that puts a lot more tip. Yeah, it's a really good tip. A lot more pressure. I guess if people are packing for themselves, and it's hard if there's a damage to sort of say who's responsible. And I guess that puts you in an awkward position if they've packed it poorly and you're stacking it, for example, and then you find damage after the fact. How would you deal with something like that? Yeah. So on our bill of lading, we have a line just saying that pre-packed boxes are the liability falls on the client because they're the ones who packed it. We, of course, are going to be careful with the box. And we encourage our clients to put fragile and, this side up kind of stickers on their boxes. But if they don't follow through with those instructions, then unfortunately, the damage is on them. Absolutely. If we pack it, then of course we're going to be replacing it. But that is the one risk with clients packing their own stuff, is that hopefully they've got some good tips and tricks and pack things really well. I've definitely seen, a lot of moves myself, and I've seen and been through a number, but the way I've seen people pack and also when movers arrive and they say they're going to pack themselves, but they haven't actually finished, and they're in the middle of throwing things into boxes just randomly at the last minute. And there's this, this big rush to get out the door. It can get pretty chaotic. So having, hired someone to do it, I think is a really wise move, even if there's a bit of additional cost. I think that's the wise move.
Yeah, we typically pack the day before the last few items that need to be done, and then we move the next day to make sure we don't have some of those hiccups. But like you say, there have been some moves that we've shown up and the full kitchen isn't packed up or the full garage isn't packed up. We always have extra boxes on hand because we've come across this enough times that we know that it happens, and it's stressful. There's a lot going on, and sometimes it all doesn't get done. But we make sure we've got extra boxes on hand in case they need a little bit of help.
So if people have a problem with them moving on that day, do they call you, or are they just coordinating with the mover?
Yeah, they've got contact with the crew manager as well as myself. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just wondering, so tips for making the move go smoothly.
Yeah. So I would certainly use a moving checklist. We have our own moving checklist of things that need to be done kind of 6 weeks before a move. Things like, moving over your BC Hydro account and your Fortis account, and making sure you're getting boxes early and not a few days before, because of course Home Depot sells out really quickly right before the weekend. And so we have all kinds of things on our moving checklist that clients have found really helpful. We also pass along a checklist of all kinds of organizations that you need to call before and after you move. When I moved 5 years ago, it's just a reminder, my goodness, we are involved into so many different organizations, from charities to banks to insurance companies to your workplace. There's so many people to contact to let them know about your new information. So we have a really comprehensive list of all those different organizations. And then lastly, I find one thing that's really helpful is if the person who is moving into the new place, because of course they're going to know how many bedrooms they are and what they're kind of using that bedroom for, because of course it could be an office or an exercise room, to just go onto Word and make it 8.5 by 11, saying, office or guest bedroom or exercise room. And then of course, label your boxes accordingly. And that way, when our mover is moving into it, they see exercise room as an 8.5 by 11 taped to the door, and they know exactly where to move it. And it just makes things a lot more efficient.
That's a great idea. I was just wondering, do you also look at the place they're moving into when you're doing their moving estimate?
That's the tricky part, is that because they don't have possession yet, be it it's a rental or a real estate purchase, virtually no, we don't have access to the new home. So the only thing that I can do is go into Google Maps and see the street view and the satellite view to get an idea of access in terms of driveways and stairs. But in terms of internally, we don't get to see rooms and staircases and things like that. So that's a side that is a bit of a question mark still.
So actually, most people do write it into their purchase contract now that they get 2 visits. So just so you know, it may be there.
It may be a possibility. Yeah, that's true. We often write that into our contracts, saying, access for up to 2 or 3 times for the purposes of measurements and estimates and so forth.
That's really helpful. Yeah, if the homeowner would be open to taking us along, we would certainly come with it, because access is just everything when it comes to a move, to make sure it goes smoothly.
Yeah. Or even do a little video for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Or FaceTime.
Yeah.
Or and if it's been a sale, of course, you can check out the realtors, the listing realtors media, because often there's a walkthrough there online.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course, so you're using Google Maps. I find if it's a Victoria to Victoria move, the CRD Atlas is actually a little bit higher. I find a little bit higher resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll give you topography too.
Yes, which is kind of key in your business.
Yeah.
You're called Provincial Movers. So what's the scope of your movement?
Yeah, good question. So in the winter, we move all across the island, including over to Vancouver. And then in the summertime, we do all of BC and Alberta. So we're a little bit reluctant to do winter driving with the Coca-Cola and things like that. But come summertime, we're happy to go all the way to Alberta.
Okay.
Yeah.
No?
I'm sending you that map, the map thing.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. It was actually a little bit of a funny story. 2 weeks ago, we were doing a move for a restoration company in Esquimalt, and I always go onto Google Maps and see, okay, what does this apartment building look like? And like I said, stairs, parking spaces, all the rest, and it wasn't there. And I said to the project manager, I said, I just want to confirm I have the right address, because I'm looking on Google Maps and there's no 5-story apartment building. Well, it turns out the Google Maps car hadn't been down the road since 2015. And this home that I'm looking at was bulldozed. And then, of course, a five-story condo building goes up. But Google Maps hadn't updated it. So as much as Google Maps is wonderful and helpful, sometimes it isn't always updated, and you've got to go get a few more details. So
yeah. Okay. So how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can check out our Better Business Bureau profile. So we've got positive reviews on there. We're an A+ rating business. Google reviews, we're a 4.8 on Google, so they can go and check out our Google business profile, which has our website and phone number. And one thing I didn't mention is that we're actually a living wage employer in BC. We're an accredited employer. So in BC, there's an organization called BC Living Wage and Families, and they find out how much does it cost to live in every major city and town across BC. And just recently, they came out with the January numbers that it costs $24.29 as an hourly wage for Victoria. And we proudly pay over that amount to our movers. So we just recently got accredited with that organization.
Good for you. That's such a wonderful thing to be making sure that you do, is make sure people are paid a living wage, especially with so much inflation lately. It's really hard to keep up. Yeah, is there anything we haven't touched on that you'd really like to share with folks about your company and yourself?
Yeah, I think the one thing I would say is, even though we're having a really mild January, typically from October to April, the skies open up and we get a lot of rain. And unfortunately, a lot of people experience floods and backed up drains and things like that. And one thing people often don't associate with the whole restoration flood process is the need for movers to come in. So when someone experiences a flood or a backed up drain or a fire, people like ourselves come in and take out all the salvageable items. So I would say if anyone has unfortunately experienced a flood or a backed up drain, that you can also reach out to us and say we can come in and help you with all the salvageable things and get them out of your place as soon as possible. So the carpets and trim and drywall and everything else can be replaced and onto remediation. Right,
because the remediation company is going to need the spare that space empty for them to do the work.
Absolutely, yeah. And they don't have the manpower to be moving couches and fridges and things like that, whereas we can come in and help with those things.
Just 2 days ago, I was down in my crawl space getting rained on because my washing machine had overflowed.
Oh, gosh.
We were moving things very rapidly out of the crawl space and so forth. But luckily, it's on a slant and it went right down to the drain. So I don't know how long it had been leaking, but I think we're good. Everything's drying.
Good.
We won't need the restoration company, but I totally get it. If it could have been that we've been calling you, say, get this stuff out of here. We need to do some fixes on our house. Ugh, don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah, my husband and I, we've actually been through 5 floods and leaks. So I always say to our restoration, like to our clients who've had a flood, we completely understand what you're going through because we've been there, done that.
Yeah. I call it empathy training. When you have to move, when you sell your house, when you have a flood, all that. Andrew, what's interesting is Rachel was explaining that really, is it like, would you say 50-50 moving, 50 restoration in terms of your business?
This time of year, I'd say it's more 70-30. There's a tremendous amount of claims, especially with all the snow right before Christmas. We're doing a lot of restoration work. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. All the more reason for having warm, temperature controlled, pest controlled storage for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot of things in storage for clients across the city, unfortunately, because a lot of people have experienced a lot of claims. It's really too bad.
Okay,
well,
awesome.
Thanks so much for coming on, Rachel. It's really
happy to.
Looking forward to working with your company in the future.
Wonderful, thank you.
So if you want to get in touch with Rachel, she is the owner and general manager of Provincial Moving and Storage. Her number is 250-588-8898, and her email is provincialmoving@gmail.com. And you can visit them online at provincialmoving.ca. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me on the show.
Okay, no problem. All righty. So, Andrew, do you have any needs and wants?
Needs and wants. I need a new washing machine. I'm going to be off trying to find some more parts for it today. Client needs and wants. Looking for a condo under $500,000, preferably 2 beds, 2 baths. I'm looking for a newer construction condo with private overlook, with a heat pump under, I'd say, 100,000, 2 beds, 2 baths. I'm looking for, actually, what else am I looking for? I'm looking for a lot with a view, really nice lot with a view somewhere on the peninsula. And I think I'll go with that for now.
Okay. So I have a listing that's on right now. It's a 2-bed, 3-bath townhome. It could actually be 3-bed if you renovated one of the rooms. It's priced at $699. Many of the units at Birch, 2020 Birch, have been renovated. So we've priced it so that people have room to renovate. And I have a new listing coming up on Westview. That's about a 3,500 square foot home. It has amazing 180-degree views of the Salt Spring Island all the way over to Finlayson Arm. So really great.
I may have to do an intervention here with that.
That one's 2625. So anyway, all right, everybody. Andrew, how do people get in touch with you?
You can reach out. I'm at 250-360-6106. That's phone or text. Email info@andrewplank.com. Website, andrewplank.com. And I'm on Instagram under plankandrew, just to mix it up. You go ahead. I'm going to go deal with the cats.
Okay. And you can reach me. My name is Jane Johnston. My number is 250-744-0775. You can reach me at briarhillgroup@gmail.com and visit our new website at briarhillgroup.com, or go to vancouverislandtime.com and see this and other videos. We're also on Instagram at realtyteacher_remax_Victoria. All right. Have a great day, everybody. And we'll see you next Monday. We are, of course, on every Monday morning at 10 a.m. So please watch us here, or if you are on YouTube, you can watch all of our episodes, whatever you want.
Yeah. And we're always open to ideas for new topics. And please, let us know what you're thinking. And if you have questions, chime in at any point.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
See you
everyone.
later, everybody. Bye.